Look at your own hand right now. Examine the flat, blunt nails at the ends of your fingers. Feel the thin, fragile skin stretched over your forearm, and notice the complete absence of fur, fangs, or crushing jaw strength. You are looking at the body of nature's most improbable survivor. For millions of years, the world was a meat grinder, and human flesh was on the menu. We like to imagine our ancestors as brave hunters standing at the top of the food chain, but for 99% of our evolutionary story, we were not the apex predators. We were the prey. Across the sweeping savannas of Africa and the frozen tundras of Ice Age Europe, early humans were hunted, stalked, and eaten alive by absolute nightmare beasts engineered by evolution to slaughter us. The nightmare was not a hypothetical fear. It left its mark in our fossil record, burned into the crushed skulls of our ancestors, and hardwired into the terrifying instincts that still make you jump when you hear a twig snap in the pitch black. The story of human survival begins not with our dominance, but with a bloodbath. To understand why we are terrified of the dark, we have to look back 2 million years to the African savanna where early hominins like Australopithecus walked. They were small, slow, and lacked any natural weaponry. To a 400-pound cat named Dinofelis, we were little more than slow-moving calorie packages. Dinofelis is often called the false saber-toothed cat. It was built like a heavyweight wrestler possessing massive muscular forelimbs and thick, dagger-like upper canines. Unlike modern lions that hunt in open plains and rely on speed, Dinofelis was an ambush specialist. It hid in dense brush, waiting for an unsuspecting hominin to wander past. Then it struck. The cat would use its overwhelming weight to pin our ancestor to the ground, before driving its thick, pointed teeth directly through the throat or brain case. Scientists studying fossil sites in South Africa discovered dozens of baboon and hominin skulls marked with identical puncture holes. The spacing of those holes matched the upper canines of Dinofelis with mathematical perfection. It did not just hunt us occasionally, we were a staple of its diet. If Dinofelis was a silent shadow, the giant hyena Pachycrocuta was a roaming bone crusher. Weighing nearly 300 pounds, the size of a modern lioness, Pachycrocuta possessed the most powerful jaws of any terrestrial mammal to ever walk the earth. Modern spotted hyenas can crunch through giraffe leg bones, but Pachycrocuta took that power to an apocalyptic level. It was a specialist in scavenged and live prey, able to crack open the dense marrow cavity of an elephant bone in a single bite. For early humans, encountering a pack of these mega hyenas was an absolute death sentence. They did not kill quickly like big cats. Hyenas eat their prey alive, tearing into soft tissue and pulling the victim apart piece by piece while it screams. In the famous Zhaokudian cave system in China, home to the famous Peking man fossils, scientists originally thought early humans lived in the caves and brought back fire. Further excavation revealed a far more horrifying reality. The hominins were not the residents, they were the food. Pachycrocuta used those deep, dark caves as dens, dragging human carcasses inside to crack open their skulls and eat their nutrient-rich brains in total darkness. The terror was not confined to land. Whenever our ancestors approached rivers or lakes to drink, the water itself hid a monster.
Crocodylus anthropophagus literally translates to the human-eating crocodile. Discovered at Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, this prehistoric giant lived alongside early human ancestors like Homo habilis and Paranthropus boise. Unlike modern Nile crocodiles, Crocodylus anthropophagus had prominent horn-like projections above its eyes and a massive, deep snout designed to grip heavy land mammals. Imagine standing at the edge of a muddy riverbank 2 million years ago. The water is perfectly still. You bend down to scoop water into your hands, and in a fraction of a second, an 18-foot, 2-ton armored monster explodes from the shallows. Its jaws lock around your torso with thousands of pounds of pressure, dragging you under before you can even scream. Fossilized foot and leg bones of early hominins from Olduvai Gorge bear the unmistakable bite marks of this exact crocodilian, showing deep gouges where the teeth clamped down and dragged our ancestors into the drowned depths. As the centuries rolled on and early humans evolved into larger, smarter species like Homo erectus and eventually Homo sapiens, the predators evolved right alongside us, getting bigger and deadlier. Enter the giant short-faced bear, Arctodus sinus. Roaming North America during the Pleistocene, Arctodus was one of the largest terrestrial mammalian carnivores that ever lived. Standing 6 feet tall at the shoulder when on all fours, and towering over 13 feet tall when standing up, this beast weighed over 2,000 pounds. It was faster than a horse, possessed a sense of smell that could detect a rotting carcass from miles away, and had short, wide jaws built for maximum bite force. When the first humans crossed the Bering Land Bridge into the Americas, they entered a landscape dominated by this giant.
A human running from Arctodus was like a turtle running from a cheetah. You could not outrun it. You could not climb a tree fast enough to escape it, and a wooden spear would barely penetrate its thick hide and massive muscle mass. Humans were nothing more than a minor obstacle between this mega bear and its meal. Even in the air, there was no safety. In the skies above Pleistocene Europe and Africa, massive birds of prey viewed human children as easy targets. The town child, a famous 2.5-million-year-old fossil of a young Australopithecus africanus, was long thought to have been killed by a leopard, but in 2006, researchers re-evaluated the fossil and noticed specific damage to the bottom of the child's eye sockets. The puncture marks were identical to the damage caused by modern African crowned eagles when they drop down from the sky, drive their talons directly into the eyes and brains of monkeys, and fly off with them into the canopy. To early human mothers, the sky was just as dangerous as the tall grass. A shadow passing overhead could mean your child was ripped from your side in a flash of feathers and razor-sharp talons, carried off to be eaten alive on a high cliff ledge. So how did a naked, weak, slow primate survive a world populated by bone-crushing hyenas, ambush cats, giant bears, and killer crocs? The answer is not that we grew bigger teeth or sharper claws. The answer is that we became the most dangerous band of sociopaths the planet had ever seen. The turn of the tide came down to 3 things: fire, communication, and weaponized coordination. Fire created a wall of light and heat that no wild animal dared cross. It turned the pitch-black night, once the domain of predators, into a safe zone for humans. But the real game-changer was the thrown weapon.
Humans are the only animals on Earth capable of throwing an object with high speed and deadly accuracy. A sharp wooden spear thrown by a coordinated group of humans who could communicate complex strategy changed the math entirely. Suddenly, a cat had to risk taking a volley of sharp projectiles just to get close to one human. We did not just learn to defend ourselves from the predators. We wiped them off the face of the Earth. As Homo sapiens spread across the globe, equipped with advanced projectile weapons, endurance hunting techniques, and seamless group cooperation, the hunters became the hunted. Every single one of these hyper-specialized human eaters went extinct. We hunted their prey, destroyed their habitats, and killed them directly until the giant cats, the mega hyenas, and the terrifying short-faced bears were nothing more than bones buried in the dirt. The apex predators that once feasted on our ancestors are gone, but their legacy lives on in your mind. The deep, visceral fear you feel when you step into a dark forest alone. The way your heart races when you see 2 glowing eyes reflecting in the beam of a flashlight. The phantom shadows that make you sprint up the basement stairs after turning off the light. That is not irrational paranoia. That is evolutionary memory. It is the lingering voice of millions of ancestors who survived the night by assuming that every shadow held a saber-toothed cat waiting to crush their skull. We conquered the monsters, cleared the wilderness, and put ourselves at the top of the food chain. But deep down, inside the oldest parts of our brain, we are still that fragile, hairless primate sitting in the dark, listening to the grass move, praying that the sun comes up before something finds us.